Deep in the shadows, I know it's hard to put one foot in front of the other.
Hi guys, CeeChronicles here. Welcome to the channel. I post fragrance related content and would very much appreciate you subscribing if you're not yet subscribed, guys, and joining this family. And if you are already subscribed, thank you so much for coming back. I have a couple of fragrances that I want to recommend to you for spring season. So I picked about 10 or 12. I just lost count, but I just wanted to give you those recommendations in case you were wondering where to start in terms of, Middle Eastern fragrances. What I like about spring season is the fact that, it's not really too hot, it's not really too cold, it's kind of moderate, and some of the underperforming fragrances get a chance. Okay, so it is a season where some people then prefer to wear clean, fresh, crisp style of fragrances, even aromatic, that sort of thing, but not as heavy as the winter fragrances. Number one is going to be from the house of Zimaya. Zimaya is not spoken about a lot, but I haven't come across one of their fragrances that has disappointed me. I wish they could push their fragrances more because they do have quality fragrances. This particular one is Le Rosé. I'm not going to lie and say it's a favorite of mine, right? I find that it's a fragrance that I kind of have to think of before I wear, but I thought to recommend it nonetheless because it has a soapy appeal to it. A jasmine there that is greenish, okay, giving it a flowery feel about it. So this is a floral, right? But it does have a soapiness to it, and then it has like a sour accord. I believe there's apricot in here, but the apricot doesn't interpret as nectarous. It actually interprets as perhaps an unripened one, if you will, but this would be a perfect fragrance to rock during the spring season. Another one I have from Zimaya, which I didn't want to take nothing away from, guys, is this one. This one draws inspiration from Delina's La Rosé, and if you know about the prices of the PDMs, you probably want to buy it if you, of course, can afford it. But if you can't, you may want to test it or try this take of Zimaya. This one is called Hawa Pink. Let me just spray this on this. I love this. I really do love this. This is that beautiful rose sitting on an aquatic fruit. I think it's a lychee or something. Beautifully done. For the price, guys, you will thank me later. And this is the sort of fragrance that would eliminate in the heat. So I would say if you're looking for something that's going to be floral, something that's going to be crisp as well, clean to an extent, a floral that's not that pushy, then you ought to try Hawa, the pink one from Zimaya. And of course, let me know your thoughts if you already have this fragrance. Another clean fragrance I thought to recommend to you for the spring season is going to be Vibrant Vetiver Delight from the house of Paris Corner. I have used the heck out of mine. This is a Bal de Freak smell-alike or clone or dupe, whichever way you want to put it across. This is an inoffensive fragrance to an extent that if you blind buy the real thing and you're hoping for fireworks, you might find yourself actually underwhelmed, because it's that sort of DNA that is casual, if you will. It's that sort of DNA that's easy to like, easy to carry. It's not a complex DNA that may perhaps be befitting of the actual Byredo price. Of course, I'm not taking anything away from the original creation. I mean, we appreciate the work that goes in, but I'm just saying, say for instance, you were eyeing the Byredos and you went for the Bal de Freak, you may find yourself thinking, is that it? Okay, so this as an alternative will be great. It's a beautifully done vetiver scent with some citruses there, and it also has the black currant note. And what I like about this particular one is it kind of highlights that black currant note, which is something that I don't get from the original. And the vetiver here is quite a wearable vetiver, because vetiver does present itself differently, in different compositions. This is a vetiver that women can totally rock, and I absolutely love this fragrance. Just a clean, inoffensive floral fragrance that's summery in nature and a great fragrance to use during the springtime. Another fragrance I wanted to recommend to you from Maison Alhambra, Aura d'Eclat. I've just used this much of this fragrance, but it's another fresh, clean, inoffensive, crisp fragrance that comprises of florals. It's got a tea note. It's got some notes that will point out to the fact that it may be aromatic, but it doesn't interpret as aromatic, if you will, like your quintessential aromatic scent. This just reminds me of water. You know, it is blended in the way fragrances like, I think the Hugo Boss, the original Hugo Boss for women vibes. That's how this one vibes. In itself, it's cloning a Eclat de Paget. Okay, I'm sorry if I am botching that name, but I will try and put the fragrance that is cloning on the side. But this is just a crisp, clean, inoffensive, fresh style of a scent that will remind you of a body of water as though you just had a bath. That's how crisp, clean it is. And if you haven't had your nose on the original that it's cloning, you had your nose on the Hugo Boss. Another example I can give you is how Zimaya Le Desi, okay, vibes. That's how this one vibes, but it is a clone, of course, of that Del Paget, which is exactly what it's going for. So perfect fragrance for the season, inoffensive. You may have to respray this if you want it to hold up till the end, because it does fizzle. It's not a very beastly style of a fragrance, but it is beautifully done. It has a tea note, but I wouldn't say buy it for the tea note, because that doesn't become the main focus. The tea note just blends in with those watery notes, that aquatic feel, the fresh feel of it, crisp feel of it. Looking for something with a little bit of an aromatic tone to it, and you ought to try Sophia. This one has taken a knock from a lot of people every time I talk about it because of the presentation. Now, Lattafa always goes to town when it comes to presentation. So they had 3 of these released at the same time, but these were some of the fragrances that really didn't make the round. This particular Sophia is a clone of Oud for Happiness, right? And the reason why I picked it as ideal for the season is it's just a tad bit green, it's aromatic, it's spicy, but it has that fresh wrap up to it. So it's certainly a fragrance that is going to give you a couple of pages there. It doesn't become an outright green scent. It's just a serving of all these notes, just carefully curated, for when you just want to smell clean, when you want to smell fresh, and you don't want something that's too heavy. So this is Sophia from the house of Lattafa. The next recommendation is London Avenue from the house of Grandeur. This is simply put a nice sweet candy style of a fragrance. I'm going to show you the level at which it's at. Grandeur is a subsidiary of Al Watania. Okay, so the level that it's at is there. If I turn it like that, it kind of gives you a better, presentation of where it's at. That's where it's at. Simply because this one is inoffensive to me. It's got the sweet wrap up to it. The only con to this fragrance is it does have a disappearing act. It is created almost like how the BR540 was created, to an extent that some people will say, oh, it reminds me a lot of BR540, especially if, say, for instance, you've played around with that DNA a lot. This is simply one that if you like the 540 DNA, you're going to like. But this is not drawing inspiration off that 540 DNA. This one is drawing inspiration of the Greenwich Village, is it? Yeah, I'm going to put the right one on the screen. That's where it's drawing inspiration from. But simply put, guys, it's a beautifully done candy tone of a fragrance, which doesn't have a particular note that you're going to zoom on and say, this is all I smell. All I can say is you're going to be wrapped up in some sweetness. The sweetness in this is less than in that of 540, but it is sweet, okay? And I like that it doesn't have the inky accord that I sometimes get in the 540 dupes, if you will. But make sure you do love gentle fragrances, because it's not like a pushy fragrance, and then, right? Next up is from the house of Amav. This is Otzi Spectra. Most of you guys don't like this bottle. I mean, based on the videos that I actually drop off the Amav fragrances, a lot of you guys say, oh, we don't like the bottles, they look a little bit childish and stuff. My daughter told me that you could take this off. I just haven't taken mine off because I feel if I take the covers off, then maybe I will end up not knowing which is which. Otzi Spectra is here as an ideal recommendation for anyone who's looking for a spicy scent that's going to hold up in spring. This has a double dose of cinnamon, okay? It's got a double dose of cinnamon and it's got the tobacco note. Very refreshing this fragrance is, and it does have that staying power. Not enough to last through to the next wash, but not as, say, for instance, as gone with the wind as something like this would give you. Okay, so this has that crisp feel of the apple. It has those warm spices that tie it up together with a tonka and a tobacco. But what I like about it overally is its generous inclusion of the vanilla that gives it a sweet feel. In itself, it's cloning Jean-Paul Gaultier Le Male, and that is a male fragrance. But if nobody told you that and you're a woman, you might actually be thinking, why? You know, what do they mean? Because it does have that unisex appeal, where it's really safe. I mean, when we talk of unisex, this is exactly what we mean. A fragrance that a man can wear, a woman can wear without a problem. So this is what I get from this, guys. I get a little bit of everything. It has the lavender, but the lavender in here is not enough to cross it over to very aromatic. So everything is there, served carefully enough to tie the juice and give it some depth, wherein instead of being just a lightweight juice, it gives you the freshness, it gives you that clean feel, but it's got some, you know, some staying power there, some depth to it, something that ties it. Something that I also get from this one, Maya. If you're looking for another fun spring appropriate fragrance, summery fragrance as well, then you ought to try this. But this has got so many pages where some people will like the opening and some people will completely hate the opening but love the dry down. So it is that sort of, you know, fragrance, vibing the same as Aqua de Joie. But this one kind of takes you on a fig journey, something that the original doesn't have. But once the fruit settle, once the fade florals settle, then it gets into that blue aquatic feel, the fresh, clean feel. Another gorgeous fragrance to wear in the spring season would be a Fief. Guys, I love this fragrance. I know that the presentation is overboard, okay, and I know that some of you guys do not get that much lasting power in this, but I would recommend it nonetheless, because this is a fragrance I didn't know I needed from Lattafa. Okay, it's one of those DNAs that are in between sophisticated and not sophisticated. You know, there is something in this that's not simplistic. It does incorporate the note of peach, and then it gets into white florals, the tuberose, the jasmine, and the orange blossom. But the peach and those florals share an equal shine. And I like the fact that the florals are done in such a way that they're not pushy, because having those three florals, orange blossom, jasmine, and tuberose, in one concoction sometimes can interpret as heady. I don't get that from this, guys. I get a beautiful fruity floral with a spicy undertone there of the pink pepper. I get a gentle, comforting fragrance, something that I'm able to overspray without a problem. I get a fragrance whose patchouli is done, but not in a pushy way. And I get a praline and a sandalwood that adds in some creamy nuance to this fragrance. So to know this fragrance, guys, is to own it. And if you don't like the bottle, you feel it's hideous, you could get yourself a decant from houses like Haiji Scent. They do sell decants, and then you can make your decision after. But certainly recommend this. This is a classy fragrance. This to me doesn't need reapplying. This transitions smoothly, you know, from morning till evening. It's gonna smell sexy in the evening. It's gonna smell very beautiful in the daytime. So absolutely amazing, something that you may want to consider purchasing. This I want to give us an honorable mention, Al Haramain Miracle Dubai, and this is the Extrait de Fafar, right? The reason why I haven't purchased this fragrance is I'm trying to get well and give it a good test run and convince myself that this would be so different from the Delina or the Le Rosé type of DNA, because it kind of yo-yos, you know, around those two DNAs. Okay, the notes for this are lychee, nutmeg, Bulgarian rose, woods, and patchouli, and then the mid is rose, vanilla, white flowers, and sandalwood, and the base is powdery. I don't know why they just said powdery. They should just say, maybe it's just said powdery, and then it says ember, musk, cedarwood, and balsamic. Okay, so this is another great spring scent, even just based on the bottle. The bottle is going to come like this, you know, very floral there. Beautiful floral indeed, not too pushy. I have a thing with pushy florals. I don't like them. Sometimes they nauseate me, sometimes I have a headache. So I'm not too big on pushy florals. This is not a pushy floral. The only reason why I don't have it is I need to ascertain whether it's not going to end up just being lost in that Delina DNA, because it is something there that reminds me of that DNA, perhaps because of the use of the lychee and the rose and stuff. But gorgeous scent nonetheless. If you're looking for something for spring that's going to last, beautifully done. I like the Al Haramain quality, and that's why I'm recommending it. Another one is going to be this one, Felicity. This is for those that like an intense fragrance during spring. This in itself is not beastly per se, but it has depth in the use of the florals. The florals in here are quite concentrated such that you will smell them, okay? It is a sweet scent, it is a feminine scent, but the florals are quite present and pushy there. It does have the vanilla, but just make sure you do like a fragrance that highlights the florals there. So this is going to be perfect for spring. Dries down a little bit powdery, gets into a clean zone. You know, the longer you wear it, in itself for winter, it's not a heavyweight, but during the spring season, this is going to last till the next wash. Now, second from the last is going to be this one. This I thought to just drop here for those who like aromatic fragrances. This is going to give you green, fresh. It's called Filza Imperial from the house of Al Watania, and I believe this one is a clone of Giza Imperial. Okay, so this is spicy, this is sweet, this is not intense. It has that clean lingering thing with it. It's a little bit green as well, okay? It's also got that water accord to it, but the spices are quite prominent in this. So if you want something that's got more pizzazz, perhaps something that's going to get you compliments, then certainly try this one. It's got that tease of a gym scent, if you will, but has the depth that ties everything together there to give it some weight, and has that aromatic appeal to it. The spices are pretty, you know, prominent there. Like my scent bubble here really feels spicy, but it also is sweet. So for those who are worried whether this is going to be only masculine toned, no, women can totally wear this as well. It's more sweet and spicy, green, clean, aromatic. That's all. And the very last one is going to be from the house of Swiss Arabian, and this is Royal Mystery. This fragrance draws inspiration from English Pear and Freesia by Jo Malone, and English Pear and Freesia by Jo Malone is a fragrance that I already own. And when I bought this one, I said to myself, had I known, I would have never wasted my coins buying that, because this one is a more intense version of that English Pear and Freesia. The rose in here is quite intense as well, but it's not a green lemony rose. It's a floral that you're gonna feel a weight of there. The pear is more prominent in this. Yeah, the pear is more prominent in this, so you actually do carry the pear all through from start to finish. And it's a fragrance that doesn't need reapplying. Great one for spring as well. This one will also transition perfectly from day to night. So yes, guys, those are some of the recommendations I thought to drop here for some of you guys that may be looking for fragrances to purchase for the spring season, or just stuck on what to wear during the spring season. CeeChronicles is my name. Thank you so much for joining me today. Let's meet in the comment section where we discuss more about fragrances. Remember to turn on post notifications. That way you get to be notified anytime I upload a video. Like and share this one, and remember that smelling good is a form of good manners. Cheers.